Hi, this is Ofori, the digital reader, and today I'm doing the battery life challenge for the iPlay 50 Mini NEF Android tablet. This is my recommended Android tablet. It's cheap, it's very fast, it's snappy. I prefer this over the Kindle Fire, which is a lot of people like. The only downside to this when I initially got it is it doesn't have the greatest battery life. It lasted 6.5 hours during my video playing test, but I have you can buy a battery pack for under $15 that will almost double that battery life if you connect it up to the battery pack. So for me, it wasn't a big deal because of the performance. Now with my battery life challenge, I have 5 things I always try to cover. I try to read every day for at least an hour. I tracked the days it took me to finish a book. I track how many actual hours I read the book. I track the battery percentage start and the finish of the book. And I track the battery percentage from 100% down to 10%. As a tech nerd, I can't go lower than 10% because I would never have any tech device that I'm actually using have less than 10% energy. I would either be using a battery pack or I would be home charging it. So with that out the way, let's get started. The first time I did it, I had night light off and I had battery saver off. And I got about 6.5 hours, which was what I generally time how much power the device has, and 6.5 hours was the general amount. And then I tried it with night light on and battery saver on. And what does battery saver do, you might ask? Battery saver turns on dark theme and limits or turns off background activity, some visual effects, certain features, and some network connections. Also, you want to make sure if you're going to be in battery saver mode when you're using an Android device as an e-reader, you also want to make sure in battery saver mode that you unselect turn off when charged, because when you go to battery saver mode, once you charge the device back up to full, it'll automatically turn off battery saver mode unless you flick this switch. And once you flick that switch, it'll always stay in battery saver mode. For me, since I was just using this device as an e-reader for this test, I turned on battery saver mode and chose that. Now, typically, I don't use this device as a e-reader. I actually use it to watch movies and media and read comic books. So typically I want all the color and the energy, and I'm happy with 6.5 hours because I carry a portable charger, which means really I get double that battery life because I can just charge it up to the portable charger and charge it. But in this situation, I was kind of going with the what if I really wanted to use this as just an e-reader. So first, starting with the battery saver off, I read Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. Took the battery from 100% to 74%. I read 148 pages, and I read for 2 hours over 2 days using the Pocketbook Reader app. Then I read World War Z. That's by Max Brooks, and that took me from 74% to 10%. I read 171 pages, and I read for 4.5 hours over 5 days using the Pocketbook Reader app. The total battery life for reading with battery saver off was I read for 7 days, and the total hours I read were 6.5 hours. I used it with the battery saver on. Well, I finished up World War Z by Max Brooks, and that took me from 100% to 57%. That was 140 pages. I read for 3.75 hours over 6 days using the Pocketbook Reader app. Then I read Sentinels, When Strikes the Warlord by Van Allen Plexico, and that took me from 57% to 14%. I read 209 pages, and I read for 3.5 hours over 4 days using the Pocketbook Reader app. And lastly, I read The Century Blade by Rob J. Hayes, and that took me from 14% to 10%. I read 15 pages, and I read for 0.3 hours or 23 minutes over one day using the Pocketbook Reader app. So the total time for that was 11 days I read, and with the battery saver on, it lasted for 7 hours and 55 minutes. So comparing the two, I have to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed in the battery saver on settings since I basically got about an extra hour. I mean, that's better than nothing. So I probably would use it if I was somebody using a typical Android device as an e-reader. You will get at least, like I said, I got an extra hour, and if your battery life is longer, it'll probably be proportionately more. So this is the battery life challenge for the iPlay 50 Mini NEF with battery saver off and with battery saver on. This is Ofori, the digital reader, and keep reading.